The first time that you hear the elders speak of the old days, this far up and out into the Shelflands, you're never quite sure if you've heard them right. And by the time you do, you're already half nodded with their unpretensed hospitality, the same you can expect of any of the peoples of this high country. So much so that their shift in tone can be disgustingly jarring. Hazy, tangled patterns have begun to merge in the high-ribbed ceilings, and the lamps have been lit. The youngest children have gone to bed, and the youths are all on shift, attending the steaming plateaus of food in the great wide pans on the fire pits in the centre of the Eubliaska, shouting requests and suggestions and flinging clouds of bright spices and handfuls of fresh ingredients into the middle, as if on parade. The day moots have been drawn up and finalised, and those finished planning their next day have begun to pace about or sit and speak in small groups. They carry on heartily, laughing at what's come before and wondering at what might be. The smell of the scrim sensors and the food and smoke, it gets into you quick. Warm, draped shadows pool, and these elders I speak of doze in them, waiting for everything to grow quiet and dark, to begin their clearing and cleaning. Elsewhere, I see couples and queues are agreed upon and severed, sometimes with rejoicing, often with howls of disbelief. Work parties huddle to discuss the needs they fulfill, and those who need music to keep their hearts and minds dry are sung to. The common standard is held. It's very normal here in the Shelflands, even expected of strangers, to wander among the wide low tables and great tapestried cushions and piles of skins and blankets, and to talk with anyone who motions you over. If it were to be that a newcomer made it from one end of an Eubliaska to another without being welcomed to a table, well, that would signify that something was amiss within your community. Social health and mediation is presided over by representatives from every generation and gender in an open council. And if such a shameful occurrence was to take place, then one of these representatives, usually those of middle age, would stand and perform the necessary apologies to the new arrival and admonish the community as a collective body. And then, whomever within the hall that signals first, with a wave or a nod, that they will let the wronged stranger join their table, will be awarded with rousing thanks, a short 5-beat syncopated rhythm, drummed out on the table among every person present, and followed by a cheer. There is no recrimination and no jealousy towards the ones who do step up, no performance. And there is no dwelling on things done out here in the higher shelves. The rain comes too regularly and too hard to let seeds of division root. Silence is not something I have been on the receiving end of yet. Everyone wants to talk to a migratory. But not about the old days, though. That is reserved for the tongues of the elders, and you have to give them time and space, and only after most have gone to their own homes or fallen asleep where they lay, and the mountain of glowing coals in the centre of the room begins to slowly shrink inwards, do some of them, usually the oldest, turn their eyes inside and far back. When the bright band of the cascade above was hidden for a year behind scarred, curling ash decks. The marches north, and all those who are born walking and grew to bury their parents before they too came to rest. Aleko Bupreshkovich, leaving with her armies in a blind rage across the sea, and how the Visayans shepherded those who survived back along roads still remembered, but now buried far below the newer, sharper country of glass. The herds of people that walked out into those wastes towards the shipgrave, the Hethkshog, all drawn by a sky-spanning light that did not fade in the day and could only be seen by some. When I asked an old tin prospector with a drooping smoke-stained moustache and hard eyes set in her shriveled apple face what decided whether one could see this light, she gave a short, clipped cackle that crumbled into a cough, and her expression became pensive. Same reason as anything gets you. Bad luck. Nobody talks about the old days for long. These half-remembered vagaries are the best I have so far. No, it's not exactly what you asked for. In quite a few of the last settlements we passed through this year, there's been nobody old enough to ever even bring it up. And nevertheless, this expedition advances towards the old capital, the half-city on the falls, Ruerdskyeg. I need to see the end of all this. I need to meet the Grey Scribes for myself, up in the mountains beyond that city. And I know now, as I commit all this down, that very little of it, these fanciful blasphemies and stories from the edge of the lips of the old Shelflanders, very little will make it into the final edition. That is, if the thing is ever published at all. Your censors will happily gut me. But even if one person hears this, even if it is you, Orn, my friend, then the knowledge is not quite gone. That's going to have to be enough for me, and I have accepted now that I will never personally hear it broadcast. I know I can't go back. Even if I wanted to, the forecastocracy would not have it. And so I must carry on, writing down these secret words and following the expedition to its end. There is always more to hear and tell, for the hour is small, and now the wistful rhymes of the aged begin to lilt softly in the warm quiet, and I must go to listen.